This is ContactTalkRadio.com. Consciousness in action. And you are taking action into your consciousness by tuning into Contact Talk Radio.
And on TuneIn.com, Hing.fm, and UpSnap Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio. Welcome to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. Joan and Janet are subtle energy empaths who navigate consciousness. Their passion is to support you in your evolution. As consciousness, we are all one. One mind, one heart, free of all limitations. Experience this reality with us and discover how it can make a difference in your daily living. Join us in a state of grace as we explore, with warmth and humor, this thing we call life. Now, here are Joan Newcomb and Janet Barrett.
Welcome to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. We're your co-hosts, Joan Newcomb, coming to you from Tacoma, Washington, and my partner, Janet Barrett's coming to you from Portland, Oregon.
Hello, everyone. So nice to be with you again.
It's lovely to be here with everyone in consciousness, in heart space, even if you're not there yet. Yes, you are. Today's topic is peace, kindness, respect, and consciousness. If this is the essence of life, why don't we experience this more in the world? So tune in. You're tuning in now. Stay tuned to enjoy this vibe with us.
And we're going to give them an invitation, aren't we? We're going to issue to go deeper with us. And you can do that at our website, Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet.com. It's a great website. Has all our blogs that we write weekly, has individual information about our personal websites and all the group stuff we do, all the individual stuff to do, all the Facebook stuff, all the connections you want are on that website. So please start using it. It's a great way to gather us.
Go there for anything you want to know about us and the show. It's at ConsciousConversationsWithJoanandJanet.com. You can also find us on Facebook. I'm on Facebook at Joan Marjorie Newcomb. Janet's on Facebook at Janet Barrett. And the show is on Facebook, Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. And
there's information there about how to do personal sessions with Joan and I, which we want to make sure you all are aware about.
On the website, yes.
On the website, yeah. My site certainly has a big piece about what it's like to work with me, and Joan's got all her great stuff on there. So we do Skype, we do phone, we do lots of different things, and so we love to connect with you. And if you can appreciate what we look to create with this show and do that on an individual basis, we'd love you to call us. And if you go to my website, for sure, you get $25 off on your first session with me if you sign up for the blog, so that I write weekly. So please
it is very interesting having a session with you, Janet, because I do, we connect by Skype. And so I'm imagining, the thing with Janet is you start talking for 5 minutes and it turns into a session. So life is a session. And it's really interesting because if you meet her face to face, if you get a mini session from her at an expo or something, it's, she has you stand up, she puts her hand on you, you feel this wonderful wave moving through you, and it's all very physical and hands-on. What it is when you have a session with her by like Skype, and I'm presuming by phone, it's the same thing, is that there's more of a narration that goes on, and there is the shift and changes happen internally. And it's really interesting, the kind of inquiries that come out and the following through that you don't have to have the hands-on for that kind of thing. So you can't say that it's a reading, and you can't really say that it's a healing. It is like something definitely that needs to be experienced. And the other thing that I know is that it has a ripple effect out into your week, you may not feel anything right at that moment. And then 3 days later, everything shifts. So.
Yeah, we have a lot of things that happen. I think I'm calling them consciousness at play sessions, because if you make something about healing, then you're stuck in that. And if you make it about a reading, then you're stuck in that. And I think in consciousness, we're just looking to be free of the limitations and we're just allowing information to resonate and show up. And you have this marvelous unfolding that people experience within themselves. And so that's great stuff. Now you tell them about what you do, because you do wonderful work also.
Well, and I have shifted away from doing readings and healings, and because when you're doing a reading or healing is that, I am seeing you and I have the information and I'm giving you the answers to your questions. And what I'm much more excited about now is having you turn within and get the answers from within yourself.
Yeah.
And it's, it's no longer traditional coaching either, because there's all these energy techniques as well. And I'm also very into teaching techniques as well. So I will lead people through doing their own exercises and getting their own greater awareness. And it's really fun to be sitting with them, and they're recorded so that they've got those juicy nuggets and those ahas recorded so that they can have other ways to remember them. But they get these revelations. They get these ahas that connect them to their greater aspect as consciousness. And that is so empowering when you can take away that awareness from a consciousness session, and also that you have something, a tool or a technique that you can go forward and use yourself to create change. So that's a lot of fun.
And that sounds like great stuff, everybody. So be sure to contact. We love to work with people, and wherever you might be. We also you want to join us for our free conference call we offer once a month on Thursday, third Thursday of the month, 7 p.m. Pacific. Our next one is going to be September 15th, and you can find out more at the website, how to get connected, all that. And then, Joan, you've got an event coming up on September 10th up in there in Seattle. And what do people want to know about that if they're local to the area?
Yeah, I'm doing a workshop. It is a Deeper Consciousness Tools for Transformation workshop, and it's being hosted by Psychic Awakenings on Queen Anne in Seattle. I'm telling people, if you're feeling strange shifts and changes going on and you want to know what's happening and what to do about it, well, we're in times of huge transformation, and I say that consciousness is accelerating and expanding. And so, we're feeling this collectively and personally, but we may not have the language to explain it. So it shows up in our lives as things breaking down, like health, relationships, work, and more. And we're having the opportunity to break through to a new awareness that is greater than ever before. So we need to upgrade our practices and upgrade our techniques to handle this higher frequency, because we've really gone from like spiritual dial-up to Wi-Fi. So you need some upgrades. And I'll be talking all about that. I'll be teaching some valuable techniques during that workshop as well. So you can find out more about that actually on my website, joan-newcomb.com. I'll put a notification on our website, actually consciousconversationswithjoan.com as well.
So our topic. And this was interesting for us because each week we try and register what the tone is out there in the world. And this last week, we could just really feel this very deep heart constriction for people that we played with on the radio, and to help people just be aware how they were feeling kind of tight inside. And what comes out of all this and doing our show is this wonderful deepening morphic field resonance we have, that peace is at hand, kindness is a guiding principle, we respect others, and how that all fits in as consciousness. And we thought we'd take time today to just really allow ourselves to hold that awareness about it. And we'll play with that after our commercial break. So what are you noticing, Joan, there about our subject?
I was thinking, last week we talked about judgment and discernment, and it was, and there's been a lot of contentiousness in the world today, and there's been just a lot of intolerance and extremes coming up. And to me, that's the opposite of consciousness. So what's coming up is the light is being shone on all the divisiveness. Where, there's a difference between divisiveness and diversity. So,
I hope.
Yeah, well, and I think that's what we're getting towards is more acceptance. So it's not tolerating people as much as it's accepting people And when you are aware of yourself as consciousness, and when you are tuned in to the greater collective consciousness, and Janet will be taking us more into that awareness later on in the show, very shortly actually, you feel innate peace and kindness and respect. You feel compassion. You feel a connectedness to all other beings, and there is it's greater than acceptance. There's an appreciation in life, and there's that awareness where this planet is a planet of dichotomy. It's a planet of opposites, and we created it that way, and we are both collective and connected, and we are all consciousness, and we are all this really delicious different spectrum of vibrations. Mm-hmm. It's a symphony orchestra, which would be really boring if we all were playing the tuba.
Yeah, well, it'd be a tuba concert, so. And tuba people might think that's really neat. They may not have the ear for those other sounds.
It's a high school marching band where everybody got to choose their own instrument, and they all chose the tuba.
Right. I think this is all part of being present, is that the surface stuff kind of falls away and we just find ourselves resonating in this quiet and the calm and the sacred, and we're just making that more real because in our state of reality it is real, and the people are catching it. I think it's there. We have to always constantly be updating our language, and we're always resonating in the past with our language because it's what was, and what was isn't what is, and those are two different things. So
yes, and what was, what is in time consciousness. We will be talking lots more about this juicy topic, but we have to take a commercial break, so stay tuned. This is Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. We'll be talking about peace, kindness, respect, and consciousness in a state of grace right after these messages.
Is your soul calling you to do something more meaningful with your life? Do you feel crazy for wanting to quit your secure job? Perhaps you are waiting until you retire to do what you love. Maybe you are too daunted to follow your dream. If any of these match your life, then Joan Newcomb's Purpose and Passion Coaching Program is just for you. In just 12 weeks, you will discover who you essentially are and why you are here. Learn to live as your greater self and navigate with conscious mastery. Go to joan-newcomb.com. That's joan-newcomb.com for all of her coaching programs. Would you like a fresh approach to the challenges you are dealing with? Take a journey into your enlightenment with Janet Barrett. Janet is a subtle energies empath, accessing the field of potential with warmth, humor, and support. She will help you to hear what your inner voice is saying. She will share with you how to appreciate who you are now and offer you new ways to understand and transform your issues. Reach her at www.janetandbeyond.com. That's janetandbeyond.com. Again, janetandbeyond.com. Transformation is possible. You can enjoy new outcomes in your current experiences. They can happen in the blink of an eye.
You are listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. To reach our program, please send questions and comments to consciouswithjoanandjanet@gmail.com. That's consciouswithjoanandjanet@gmail.com. Now, back to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet.
Welcome back. You're listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. I'm your host, Joan. I'm along here with Janet. We are talking about peace, kindness, respect, and consciousness.
Oh, it just feels nice, Joan. Doesn't it? I mean,
we haven't even
got there, but it's just been so delightful. So, and we want to thank all our listeners for paying attention and participating on whatever levels those are for you. Cause this is all about the individual and our willingness to say enough's enough. And we want to see what we feel inside playing out outside, because what we see outside is not always what we feel inside, and often it is what we're feeling. And we go this back and forth all the time. So I think people are bringing more awareness in. You know, I look at the internet, social media, and all of my wonderful Facebook friends and LinkedIn. Thank you so very much for all of you that are signing up and looking to be part of my network, whatever that might be. And there are many wonderful things out there, and you can certainly focus on all the uproar, but in that deep place, it just, that contrast brings up, you know, what is really important to us as individuals. So, you think it's time to go for heart?
Yes, I do.
All righty, everybody. So let's see. What we look to offer you always is this deepening connection, this enriching connection to your sacredness, to that authentic voice, to being present, to whatever you want to call it, but that place where you can stop the reactions, build the awareness that, how do I choose to respond? So let's see what today shows up for us. So take a moment, any moment, you got more than one, I'm sure, and just notice being this sensory experience, this great medium we have to experience information, and just allow yourself to put down whatever you're doing, the part of you that can do that. There we go. And just that first appreciation of the meaning of heart, which is the physical. So start with the physical awareness. And what is it like to be aware of your heart? How many times a day do you think about it? How many times do you ignore it? So just start with appreciation and gratitude. It is the way that we all connect and know that we are physically alive. So for me, I'm feeling that breath there. And the second part of heart is emotional terrain. And we want to be user-friendly with those emotions. So just notice how you feel about being emotional to the degree that you allow yourself to be emotional. And what if it was okay? Take the judgment out of it. There you go. And just allow yourself to observe yourself in process there of experiencing something. You can have conflicting emotions running. You can have one running. You could have just quiet. It doesn't matter. Just allow yourself to notice without attachment. So sometimes, so there's the thought that we have to forgive ourselves for being emotional. Well, that's interesting. I don't think that's true, but that's not consciousness at play. That's the human, I think. So just notice that. And then there's the third meaning of heart, the core essence of all. And this is where we step off into the infinite sea of potential. And this is where we are all one. Where we are just those photons of light, photons of matter, resonances, vibrations, and information in the stories, all forming into patterns. Patterns that exist now, that maybe started at another time and place. And since consciousness has no sense of time or space, something that can be very old in our current terms, something in the future that could be at play. There is no time. There is no space. So as we let go of those references and we allow ourselves to just be the particles of dust with a little bit of moisture, just notice. You're free to be sensory. You're free to be beyond the day-to-day. Just into that new place and notice what you notice. Notice the rhythm in the breath. Notice the quiet, the calm. Calm that's underneath. All right, Joan, what you notice in there?
Well, I loved what you just said about the quiet that's underneath, because it reminds me of something that I'm aware of whenever there is a crisis or there is a disaster or there is something, that there is always calmness somewhere. Mm-hmm. I remember when the original 9/11 was going on, and here in the Northwest, it was a beautiful sunny day. Mm. And, all the planes had been grounded. So it was exceptionally quiet where I was living. I was living on an island that was rural, and I really felt the presence of consciousness. I would have used different language at that time. And it was so interesting to me that this tragedy was still going on. I don't know if the towers had fallen yet or not, but it was this horrible tragedy that was going on. And, the country, if not the world, was reverberating from it. And yet there's also an awareness of this overarching calmness. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's the infiniteness of consciousness, and there's another word for it too. And there is the peacefulness, and that's not the word I was reaching for, but there is a sense of peace regardless of what's going on. That sense of that it is all very, very well. It is all okay regardless what's going on.
And that's the peace that is peace, right? And it can be there in the presence of those other dynamics that you notice. And remembering that and being in that place when we feel ourselves being out of that place, but reconnecting always depends upon the level of connection you feel. It doesn't matter. It's always there. So if we just start from those premises that it's always there, and it's just our awareness that goes in and out, it's just always there. And kindness, how does kindness come into play, do you think, in this?
Well, the thing, I know when I'm resting in this place that it's just natural to be kind to other aspects of consciousness, other aspects of consciousness. It's a kinship that I feel with all living things, an awareness of this being a creation of consciousness and a creation as by myself as consciousness. Mm-hmm. And so there's not a need to have conflict or to be reactive to it. It's just natural to be kind to your fellow beings.
These are, it's interesting how some are very nebulous, but they're, it when you know it kind of thing. And I celebrate my day with noticing how kind I am to others, and not because that's my focus and I'm looking for points somewhere along the way. It's just, why wouldn't I want to be helpful? Why wouldn't I want to catch the door for someone? Because I don't really have any agendas. I really am just feeling, oh, well, wouldn't that be nice? And in this sense, that makes me feel good. I don't have a problem with being bitchy at times. it makes me feel good in that way. I mean, in that moment, that's where the honesty is fine. And most of the time I'm not operating out of that place, I don't think. So kindness is something perhaps we take for granted, or I don't think you have to learn. I don't know. Do you have to learn to be kind?
Some
in this
people.
sense, I guess. Right?
I didn't realize that before, but some people do need to learn how to be considerate of others. I thought it was just something you innately do. And,
Well, people who do child development, they see this all the time, right? The different stages as the child learns and matures, and where the development of it's all about you in the terrible twos, I guess, and then at 3 you start to share and you're okay with that. And then you got delayed gratification, and then and all these things that we are enriched if they happen. I guess we presume they're inherent, but for some people, they never learn to share. Some people never do this or that or the other thing.
When we talk about people like that, or we're talking about personalities. We're not talking about the being. We're not talking about consciousness. When we talk about child development, we're talking about psychological development of the physical body and the personality that's attached to it. As consciousness,
I think
we have created as a being, a distortion because we're so capable that it's fun to create something that's distorted. The more capable beings, this is again putting it into individuality. But the more capable beings create the more challenging vehicles.
Right. I think that's true. And how does respect fit into this? I think respect is something that's so valuable because it allows for differences. And I think that's what we sense is when the respect isn't present in something. I think we're very aware of that. I know in working with my clients that they may not call it that, but it becomes very apparent that they don't experience a lot of respect from their partner or from the teacher or whatever, and just in their own uniqueness as an expression as consciousness. That, it's like, well, I don't sing, so can't I be okay?
And I would say the part of you that doesn't feel okay, or the part of your partner that doesn't acknowledge, that your value, all of that is still personality level stuff, and that's not consciousness. Mm-hmm. That is, and we are constantly dancing with expressing ourselves in form. And constantly dancing with the form. So it's like going to somebody who is doing dressage, and instead of talking to the person sitting up on the horse, we're talking to the horse. Now the horse is doing a fabulous job tiptoeing across the arena. Mm-hmm. But it wouldn't be doing that by itself. It's doing that in concert with the rider that is spending so much time working with it. And the rider, in this metaphorical sense, is consciousness. Mm-hmm. And, so are we, when I relate to my clients as consciousness and I acknowledge the consciousness in them, then you're seeing how great and capable they are. Right. And, so then you're not buying the story that's being created to do with relationships. You're seeing their greater potentiality there.
And that's what we have to do, is we hold that place, that they are consciousness in action, and we can enjoy the flavors of how they show up, and we can enjoy how their sense is operating at that level, and what they're looking to create for themselves. Because when you look from a bigger picture, you can see the patterns, in a different way than when you're in it. And so I think that's what we offer our clients, is that ability to, let's pull out this a little bigger. And if you were consciousness at play, and just put it that way, what do you notice about yourself and what you're doing? And it's amazing how people can pull that information up pretty quick usually, so it's us making that accessible for them that is helpful. And perhaps different than a lot of way other people work. So So we have respect. We have respect because everything has value. And I think that's consciousness. It doesn't judge.
Yes.
And so everything's in an even playing field. And so when we are observing ourselves interacting with others in our world and we're holding that lower position, and we forget that. We can sense that. And so we have to go, just a minute. Okay, pick the most repugnant person, and that in itself is a judgment, but that means that they're pushing something in you. And what is it about them that you're aware of? And, they just talk about things they don't know about. And or whatever the issue may be. And we each get to look at, well, what am I being pushed about? Why is that in my face? And, that's just the delight of being, I think, is how this all plays out. And we each individually are experiencing enlightenment, right? And
well, if you've seen this whole thing, all the world's a stage, and you see it all if you see it all as a stage, and you see it as a play that is unfolding, and you realize that there are some actors that are going by the script, and that some actors have done their due diligence, and they've written out a whole backstory for their character, and they've, charted it with crayons, and, and that's how they are showing up and playing in the drama there. And then there's others that jump into it and they're improv. They've got the gist of what's going on, and whatever happens to them, they're staying open in the moment and they're riffing off of what's going on. Mm-hmm. And, as the greater director of it that has set the stage for this all, you can observe everything and appreciate everyone's creativity and appreciate people who are creating conflict and appreciate people who are going in there and operating by the script, because that provides a story structure for the play. But then also in comes the people who are improvising and messing with the script. And it's, you see it all from this detached, actually, perspective, and you completely love and enjoy the drama, and you're not buying it as real.
Well, what I'm noticing as we hold this conversation is that there is non-attachment. There is, or detachment, non-attachment, but I'm not quite sure on those two words, but the sense that you're as opposed to attachment. So if everyone knows what attachment feels like when you're not, is what I'm talking about. And that there is this acceptance that's at play, and that is nourishing my sense of peace and my ability to be okay and give myself permission. I feel a lot of permission here to appreciate what shows up, how I show up, how they show up. And that's in that level of, okay, there's a difference between you and me. As consciousness, we know we're all one. And so you acting out is me in some way. And so I don't have to feel that you're foreign or you're a problem or you're anything. I just get to observe you and go, whoa, what's that all about me about? And I like that. I have much more grace in my life, and or whatever that might be, in the awareness that don't judge. I get to make my distinctions, and the judgment is going to come on a certain level, but beyond that, it's all right. And it's kind of fun, I hear things in the news, and we have our political arena that's playing out so interestingly with so much to provoke. It seems to be in a place of provocation. I don't know, provocation? There you go. A provocation. And I just look at it and I go, well, isn't that interesting? And I just, for myself, for others, for how all of us are thinking we're experiencing this. This is very, how can I have peace? I have peace.
You want a piece of me?
I already got a piece of you.
Right. I was still back pondering the difference between detachment and non-attachment.
Yeah.
And I was thinking how the Buddhists have this belief of non-attachment because this world is impermanent and the world is an illusion. And so not to be attached to, not to be attached. The Tibetans do this, sand mandala. And they spend hours and hours and hours doing these intricate designs, all made of sand. And when they've completed it, they just tip the board over and it's done. And so I'm thinking, well, that's a little different. That's a little different than the concept of detachment, which is so useful when you are dealing with crazy dysfunctional personalities and people who will trigger you, people who are doing things that would just create so much havoc or emotional pain. And the detachment means you can step back from them, with love. You detach with love. You can step back from their behavior so it doesn't affect you. And then the gift to them is then they get to have the consequences of their behavior. An example that I've heard with detachment is if you have, if your loved one is an alcoholic and they're passed out on the front lawn, detachment is not, trying to get them in and hide them from the neighbors, or detachment is, might be, putting a blanket over them while they sleep it off. And detachment is not turning on the sprinklers.
Well, that's it. Okay, so in that sense, detachment seems emotionally oriented.
Definitely it's an emotional detachment from something like that.
And non-attachment is that there isn't any emotion. It's more of a neutral positioning.
Yeah.
Though, I don't know how that...
I'll tell you the thing with the non-attachment. I mean, I dance with this all around, about this world being an illusion. The problem with saying that the world is an illusion is then you're invalidating how real it feels. And physical reality is physically real. It feels real. It's, and it's meant to feel real. And so you can miss the enjoyment of that physical reality if you're trying to be spiritually unattached. But there's a way of enjoying it. In fact, you actually can enjoy it more in the moment when you realize that it is passing. Mm-hmm. And so, being aware as consciousness about all of this makes you savor and appreciate this physical reality. It gives you this inner sense of peace. It gives you kindness and respect in interacting with other people, and realizing that, it's in this moment and it is passing on to something else.
Well, maybe let's take a moment, everyone. Something just came to mind here. Could be passing, but it might be worthwhile. Is there you are. So notice where you are, where you find yourself. And if you were to invite peace, and if that's a sense, what would that be like for yourself? No, don't worry about others, because this always is within ourselves. And how do you acknowledge yourself at peace? What would that feel like? What would you think? What would you experience? And just take a moment here. And what would it be like to experience peace? And notice where you do, and notice the areas where you don't have awareness of that. There we go. And then what would it be like to notice kindness? And what does that mean? And we're not looking for meaning, but we're allowing ourselves to be aware of how we hold a thought, how we experience a thought. And what is kindness to oneself? And then there's appreciation that I find that's being present with that. So for me, kindness and appreciation, I have some association there. You might not, but I seem to be registering that. And respect. What would respect feel like? Just notice your arm, any arm. Do you respect it? Are you at the point of, wow, that's a powerful thing. I value it. That's what respect is. Notice that other person's arm. Wow, that's a powerful thing. Do I value it? Maybe not mine, but it's okay. So just notice how we experience these things and bring more into awareness. And maybe take these things from these things. Are these things? Their experiences, their sensations, their feelings. What we look to do with you is to have a conversation with yourself from this place of deep sincerity about how you respect yourself, how you hold yourself in a state of peace, and how you're kind. And if you're aware that those are elements missing in some level about how you regard yourself, then you might be able to notice how it's showing up in your world out there. And since there is no out there in here, that's just a matter of convenience. What are you noticing? What you got, Joan? We forget sometimes, don't we?
Yes, and what it is I start musing on something you say, and then I realize, 5 minutes has gone by, and it's like, oh, wait, no, wait, oh, what am I doing? So. Oh, you know what the tangent I was floating off on, floating off down the river, was about appreciation. And to me also there's this difference between appreciation and gratitude.
Mm-hmm. Tell us more. What?
So to me, appreciation means I can appreciate this physical reality, and I can appreciate my creation of this physical reality as consciousness. I can appreciate this circumstance that I created as consciousness, and
you can give it value.
Yeah, I do. Value. I give it value, okay. And I appreciate it, and then I express appreciation, and people express appreciation to me, and so yes, it does. That's right. It gives it value, and with gratitude, what I notice, and I remember being very grateful the other day for something, but with gratitude, there's an outside aspect of it. You're grateful for something that is outside, that is also outside of your creation. Mm-hmm. Unless you're grateful to yourself for surviving this long, or grateful to yourself for getting smart enough to, floss or whatever. Mm-hmm. That there's an aspect with gratitude where it's an outside, or for something outside, whereas appreciation has more of an encompassing feeling to it. And subtle difference, but profound. It's a profound shift, and we're all going through that kind of profound shift right now.
What comes to mind with that is this sense of how many of us like ourselves. What if we could look at that in a way that, do I like myself, or am I always judging and coming up short? What if in this state, that conversation isn't really present, because in the state of peace, you're okay with what is.
So I would invite people right now to notice the sense of peace that they have, and the sense of appreciation that they're having in heart space here. And I am going to ask you to hold that while we go to another commercial break here. And then we will talk more about peace, kindness, respect, and consciousness. So you're listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. I'm your host, Joan, along here with Janet, and we will be right back after these messages.
Would you like a fresh approach to the challenges you are dealing with? Take a journey into your enlightenment with Janet Barrett. Janet is a subtle energies empath, accessing the field of potential with warmth, humor, and support. She will help you to hear what your inner voice is saying. She will share with you how to appreciate who you are now and offer you new ways to understand and transform your issues. Reach her at www.janetandbeyond.com. That's janetandbeyond.com. Again, janetandbeyond.com. Transformation is possible. You can enjoy new outcomes in your current experiences. They can happen in the blink of an eye. Is your soul calling you to do something more meaningful with your life? Do you feel crazy for wanting to quit your secure job? Perhaps you are waiting until you retire to do what you love. Maybe you are too daunted to follow your dream. If any of these match your life, then Joan Newcomb's Purpose and Passion Coaching Program is just for you. In just 12 weeks, you will discover who you essentially are and why you are here. Learn to live as your greater self and navigate with conscious mastery. Go to joan-newcomb.com. That's joan-newcomb.com for all of her coaching programs.
Are you ready to take a quantum leap in your life? Joan Newcomb is a conscious mastery coach who empowers you to navigate life from your own inner wisdom using energy techniques. Contact her through her website, joan-newcomb.com, and take conscious mastery of your life today. That's joan-newcomb.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. I'm your host, Joan, along here with Janet, and we are talking about peace, kindness, respect, consciousness, appreciation, gratitude, and a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Attachment, detachment. We went all over the place.
Well, it's interesting what comes out of this space. So what would we like to do with this sense? So maybe let's see if we can activate it a little bit. Okay, so there you are. And what would you like to have as an outcome? If you're going to be goal-oriented here for all those logical left brain people we got, what could be different? And just invite that awareness. What if we felt peaceful when we went to work? And then the things that can happen, you don't have to throw away the sense of peace. What we're saying is that no matter what happens out there, the peace is still there. You don't have to not like yourself now because something happened. You can still like yourself. You can still respect yourself. You can still be kind. And what would that be like to have more choices available? So maybe allow yourself to go to that place where you go, okay, this sounds really good. It feels really good in the moment. What's it going to be like tomorrow? And just notice. This is your reality right in this moment. What would it be like to invest in it? And investing means just spending more time with it. Some of us like to test ourselves, we put that quality in there. Oh, well, it feels real good now, but that doesn't mean it'll feel good later. It's like, okay, just be aware that that's what your setup is. And what if that too is just not true? What do we want to let people know about, Joan? What do we do to make this real for ourselves? See, this is real for ourselves, right?
It is real. And the thing is that some of the questions that you ask don't make sense to me when I'm in heart space because I am already feeling good and I'm feeling that expansiveness and I know my value. And it's kind of like all you need to do is to connect to yourself as consciousness. And then you don't really need to do any of that other stuff.
Right.
But what I do want to invite people, I do want to let people know is that we have a website. It's consciousconversationswithjoanandjanet.com. And there you can go listen to the podcasts. Our podcasts are listed there. You can also find more about Janet and her website and her blog. And you can find more about me and my website and my blog. You can find out more about our meetups, the meetups that we are holding in around the Puget Sound and in Portland. We have a lot of fun meeting with people and introducing them to this awareness of consciousness, and you have great revelations when you come to either of our meetups. You can also find out more about our sessions, and we were talking about our sessions earlier on in the show, and they're unique. You won't find anybody else doing the thing that Janet does or that I do. So if you want your life to totally transform, connect to us for a session. And let me see, I also do want to, you can also find out about our YouTube channel, and the show is on YouTube, and also I have a YouTube channel, and I have twice a week I put out YouTube videos, and you can access all that off of our website too. Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. Do you want to tell them a little bit about the Conscious Conference Call that we do each month, Janet?
Oh, right. So we've got that once a month. This is our way to get up close and personal with you. And no matter where you are, we're all on the line. And we usually spend the hour reinforcing, taking apart, exploring, going into that heart-centered awareness and how that's useful in your life from a day-to-day place. And it's just lovely what comes out of that. And we sometimes have no idea because we don't have a plan ahead of time, except that those who participate in that moment help set up what happens to those who listen at a later time. So, they're very powerful. I think they're very helpful. I certainly enjoy them as far as just getting to know people a little bit more one-on-one. And I do want to thank those of you that have been sending in some nice thank yous. I had someone on LinkedIn the other day. I said, well, how are you enjoying the show? And she said, your show is awesome. And I was like, yay, we like that feedback. So please, if you have the time, let us know that you're enjoying the show and what we might do to help you on your journey of enlightenment. So.
Yes, we always love suggestions and things to talk about as well.
Yeah.
I want to let folks know that I have coming up on the 10th of September in the Seattle area. It's actually on Queen Anne. I'm doing a presentation, Deeper Consciousness, Tools for Transformation. That's on Saturday, September 10th from 1 to 3. It's being hosted by Psychic Awakenings on Queen Anne. If you are feeling strange shifts and changes going on and you want to know what's happening and what to do about it, we are in a time of huge transformation, and consciousness is accelerating and expanding. And we're feeling this both collectively and personally, though we may not have the language to explain it. And it's showing up in our lives as things breaking down, health, relationship, work, and more. And really, those are those limiting patterns that are breaking down as the greater aspect of herself is coming through. And we need to
Joan, what's our topic?
Janet?
Okay, go ahead. What's our topic for next week?
Janet?
Yes.
I was in the midst of something, and then I was going to talk about the topic for next week.
Okay,
So
all right.
I would suggest being in present time and being in the present moment and breathing while I finish saying that we need to upgrade our practices and techniques as we go from spiritual dial-up to Wi-Fi, and you can practice listening. So that is going to be a workshop, and it's $35, which is an incredible value for the transformation that you're going to have. And yes, next week on August 31st, we are going to be talking about channeling versus working with a non-physical and consciousness. So it's all about whether or not you are going to be in your body or if you're channeling somebody else. So, energy manifests as all kinds of forms, and consciousness allows for all. And that's, again, this great topic, it's this dichotomy going on, because we are all consciousness, and yet we are all individually blueprinted for our physical bodies. So who is driving your bus? And, if you're letting some 5,000-year-old warrior drive your bus, you might have a little hard time being connected to your physical form after you've done that for a while. So we'll get more into that next week.
Okay. Well,
anything else for our listeners?
Just enjoy life, right? See how long this state carries you, and how long you hold awareness of it. And when you feel out of awareness of it, just go back to feeling aware of it. And we're just building these skills of awareness is what it is. And that life is to be enjoyed if you've got it set up that way. And if you have a question about that, give us a call. We'll see if we can help you on your journey.
That sounds like a lovely way to complete things. I want to point out that we have not come out of heart space necessarily, but you can hold this wonderful feeling and take it with you throughout your day. It is okay to operate heavy machinery and to drive in heart space.
And take it into your dreams. Right?
Oh yeah, you can do that too. I was just thinking about if they're listening at work, or how the rest of their day will be different operating from heart space. So taking heart space out into your work life should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, you'll see stuff happen there, that's for sure.
All right. Well, we thank you so much for listening. You are co-creating this show regardless of when you're listening to it. There is no time or space, so you are actually contributing to it right now in this very moment. All of you, thousands and millions of people out there. So thank you so much for joining us as Consciousness. You're listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. I'm your host, Joan Newcomb.
And I'm Janet Barrett, and thank you, everyone. Till the next time.
You've been listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. And thanks so much for helping to co-create the show, no matter if you're listening live or on demand. You energetically contribute to our collective experience. Joan and Janet love to hear from you and invite you to email your comments and ideas for them to explore each week. Contact them at consciouswithjoanandjanet@gmail.com. Tune in next week for another great show, and until then, keep enjoying this wonderful adventure we call life.